Hello, my name's Owenpope. This afternoon I made a few pots of raspberry jam, so I thought I might show you what I did. To make the quantity that I did, you need 3 kilograms of raspberries and 3 kilograms of sugar and a preserving pan large enough to hold all of that. It's quite simple really, making raspberry jam. I'm not sure where the recipe came from, but it uses equal quantities of raspberries and equal quantities of sugar. I know my grandfather was a champion jam maker, and and it probably came back through the family somewhere. It may have come through his grandfather, John Knott, who came from England to live in Australia. He didn't really want to come to Australia, but they decided that the courts decided that he better do that, and so what I'm trying to say is that he was a convict, and he spent some time in Port Arthur in Tasmania, or Van Diemen's Land, and he was later to marry another convict, Richard Benson, who came from Ireland. So quite a mixed background of genetic material there. So coming back to what I started off to talk about, and that was about making raspberry jam. So if you have about 3 kilograms of raspberries, I find it's best to freeze the raspberries, and then as you're ready to make jam, you make it and it stays fresh that way. Or you can make all your jam in one go during the season and keep it in the freezer. So 3 kilograms of raspberries, 3 kilograms of sugar, a pan, a good gas burner. Usually the domestic cookers don't give you enough heat, and away you go. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this video as we walk through my little episode this afternoon of making jam. You need a reasonable sized jam pan to cook your jam in. This is a traditional jam pan that's been used in this country for years. It'll hold 3 kilograms of raspberries, or 3 kilograms of fruit, and 3 kilograms of sugar. Traditional raspberry jam recipe is one of equal parts to sugar and equal parts of fruit. We have here some raspberries that have been 3 kilograms of frozen raspberries that have been thawed, and I'm now going to tip them into the pan. Be careful that they don't make a mess all over the place. So in they go. Put all the last little bits of juice in there. There we go. Now, the heat on the stove inside is really not quite sufficient to be able to bring it to the boil in time and to cook it effectively. So as with the blokes going out and doing the barbecues, so now will the blokes go out, or the bloke go out and make jam on the barbecue. Go. Right, so off we go. I have a temporary arrangement on the outside barbecue, just to cook the raspberry jam in. Right, now into the raspberries, of course, goes the traditional jam spoon. This is an excellent one. It's a bamboo jam spoon. It's very strong, very suitable for my raspberry jam. I just want to show you the burner that I'm using. I'm not actually using the gas on the cooker, but I'm using a different type of gas burner, as you can see there, which is excellent for making jam. A lot of the time when you're going to make jam, you can't get enough heat into your pan to make it effectively. But there we go. Now I shall just turn this on. Now shall turn the gas on. Then, whoops, that was a good go. Light it, and then we'll put full heat on, turning it right up there, turning the other burner on inside, and away it goes. You can see under there you've got a nice blue flame. Should just have a little flicker of white tips on the top of that gas so you get the maximum heat out of it. Now what we're waiting to do now is to bring these raspberries up to temperature and cook them. Right, so it'll take a wee while for them to come up. Just stir them occasionally while they're heating up, and while you're waiting for that to happen you can prepare your sugar. I find using 3 kilograms of already packed white sugar is very good, because you don't have to weigh it out then. So that's 3 kilograms of fruit and 3 kilograms of sugar. Let's see how we're going here now. You can see that's starting to bubble up around the edge of the pan. At this time it's probably a good idea to give it just a small stir. It helps to spread the heat through the, look at it steamed up there, throughout the pan. And just while you're waiting for that to come up, I shall show you some shots of a new brand. So there we have the truck, and the sign writing was just completed by a sign writer who has a business based on his brother's hop orchard next door. So that's our new signage, Pope. A graphic artist who designed it hasn't seen this yet, so I'll just take a shot of the whole truck and send it off to her. So there's the back of it. Come round to the side with the shots of it. Pope, fresh, frozen and preserved. That's our new slogan. Our raspberries, where the raspberries are grown. It's the winter time here now, and the canes are dormant. And there's a hop orchard right across here, the neighbours. Right, now we have back to the jam making, and we have the berries starting to cook up. As they come up, you get quite a bit of froth, and you've got to keep an eye on it. And as they bubble up and they're cooked, you've watched them, because they can boil right over the top of the pan if you're not very careful. So wait until they're all well cooked, up to temperature, bubbling up like that, and then carefully tip the sugar in. There we go. Now, all we need to do is give that a stir and stir it in. Very careful that you don't burn yourself. The sugar will melt by itself without stirring it, but I like to stir it in and make sure that it's not stuck on the bottom or anything like that. It only takes a few stirs until you feel that it's all melted. Beautiful raspberry jam. And then just wait till that comes up to the boil again. Oops, I keep the handle up. There's little brackets you can see there that will hold the handle up so that it doesn't get hot then, and you can lift it off. So as you can see it boiling up there, it just needs a bit of a stir around, and it's probably the last stir it needs as it's getting to that point of starting to boil up. You can see it's getting quite a bit hotter, and just make sure that, there we go. That'll come up to the boil, you can see. Now as that comes up, before it goes up too far, we turn off the inside ring, and it'll need a little bit of adjustment. There we have a little bit of steam coming up there as the wind blows it round. Just need to adjust it back a little bit so that Gets a nice flame on the outside ring, and it's probably a little bit too much. Just come back just a wee fraction more, just a wee fraction. On there, and check the flame. That looks nice. What's the boil like? Well, that's a nice gentle rolling boil on there. There we go. Now we leave that to cook there for 15 minutes. Okay, the 15 minutes is up, so we'll turn off the gas and now I've let it settle for a wee minute, and as you can see there's little bits of sticky pectin type stuff around the side. You scrape that off, and that helps it set. Put that in the jam, do that all the way around, then as it cools you stir it. You can hurry up the process by setting it in some cool water, otherwise you can just stir it as it cools. Stir all the froth in. So away I'll go merrily stirring. Takes a wee while. As the jam cools, it slowly stirs in. And once all that frothy is stirred in, it'll aid the setting of the jam. Then you can pottle it. There's two things to consider when you're going to pottle it. One is how long you want it to keep. My recommendation for ease of use would be there's about 5 kilograms of jam here, would be to put it into a 5 kilogram plastic pail and just store it in your freezer. Because of the sugar content, the freezing temperature reduces and the jam doesn't go hard. So you can just fill your jam dish from the freezer every time you want to refill it. And it'll last for a long time. I've had people that have kept their jam for 3 years like this, and it's just as fresh after 3 years in the freezer as what it was the day that they made it. Otherwise, the other options is to put it into glass jars with cellophane on top, or to use plastic bottles like I sometimes do, and I'll show you that. Well, here we go. I've come inside to do the potting, and what I use are these small plastic pots. We cook it in a commercial kitchen if we're going to do it commercially, but just for our home use, these have been left over and they are available. So that's what I use. Very convenient just to fill them up. So a little bit more in that one. Here we go. I'll just top them up to the right level. That looks about right for the lid to go on. And now we'll place a lid on the top of that. Just put it on. Squeeze it down so that you take all the air out of it, and you see the air going out of the lid as you put the pressure on it. Just lift the lid this side a little bit, your finger, it goes all down till all the air's out, and then press it down, right round, click it on. Then you have a good, neat finish. No air in the pot. Turn it upside down to check. No air in the pot. And there you go. That will keep for a long time without refrigeration.